the host of Aaron's Hour, Aaron Phillips.
And good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Aaron's Hour with Aaron Phillips, coming to you live from the WWDB-TV studios in heart of a much more sunnier day here in Las Vegas. We've had the last couple of days. Thank you for watching. I've got such an action-packed show today. This is going to be like a Bob Vila kind of show. Sitting to my right is my guest today, Mr. Chris Nolan, not the movie director, though he wishes he had his bank account. But nonetheless, Chris Nolan is here with me. We could talk about Batman all you want, by the way, because I'm a big Batman guy.
Not today.
Crap, I have a funny feeling I know the answer to my question later on then. Anyway, but Chris owns a company, and I've been calling it Alini all week long. It's not. It's Ali and I, because he was smart enough to put his wife's name in the front name of the business, just like I did. Ali and I Garage, great workmanship. You see some samples here on the table. You'll see some other pieces that we have back here on the desk. But more importantly, the reason I said it's like a Bob Vila show, we are going to actually have him do a demo of what he does right here in this very studio. We're going to have
studio?
In this studio.
Okay.
As long as you show it on
Just
camera,
so I know.
then we can prove it to them we're actually doing it.
Okay.
So we have a handheld camera and everything ready to show what Chris does off to our Studio 1A side over here of the great craftsmanship that he has. And I made Chris, what was it, a couple of months ago, like before the holidays, right, when you had that out at the Suncoast,
September,
right?
I think it's
September. My wife and I, we go to the Suncoast arts and crafts shows and stuff, and I always like the uniqueness of stuff because a lot of them are the same when you go to all these shows.
Right.
You get to know all the same faces, then all of a sudden on a nice corner booth over there, here's Chris with his one-armed bandit is what I'm going to start calling it, not a slot machine, however, and he's showing what he does with this great work that he does with engraving and I don't know how to describe it. I don't even want to try to describe it, but it just drew our attention that we fell in love with the product, the results, and you and I chatted, and I'm like, I'd be remiss if I didn't show everybody what you do here in Las Vegas, because that's what this show's about.
Right.
We like showing everybody everything that's going on, all right? Don't call us, because I'm not taking calls today because of the machines and all that other stuff, but you can still put, I covered that, you can still put your comments in the chat room if you watch it. Are you going to upload to YouTube as well also, sir?
Why not?
Okay, so you can still comment through YouTube. We'll catch those messages when you watch the show, and I'll respond to them. So maybe if I remember to do so. If I remember to do so. See, my wife's away this weekend, and I'm just gonna chill out. I got a lot of work to. I'm just doing nothing right now. Anyway, you know what it's time for? It's time for Vegas and Rap 2.0.
With a nod to the past and an eye to the future, here is Aaron Phillips with Vegas Unwrapped 2.0.
All right, this is the part of the show. Now, I got to tell you, Chris, he's going to graduate my class valedictorian because he actually, either this or he just had too much time on his hands. He actually watched a couple of Aaron's Hour shows to kind of know what he's getting himself.
You're the one.
He's the one. That's why my viewership went from 0 to 1. That's like the one view. He actually watched last week's episode with Brian Hoffman as Red Skelton, Shaken Not Stirred, when we had the documentary folks in here. And I don't remember what you said was the third.
Witches.
Oh, the Witches. Casadano and her sister. Oh, boy. Did that one twice with them. So you picked 3 great shows to watch. Anyway, so he's got to know what he's getting in for. But this is the point of the show where I like to go over some of the news and tidbits. I'd love to get your reaction on if so inclined.
Oh, I have an opinion.
Oh, I'm sure. That's great. I love opinions. All right, I kind of teased about this earlier this morning on Thoughts Count Anywhere about the amount of gaming revenue that comes in. And it's always fascinating because really since the pandemic, everybody says, has Vegas recovered? Are people coming back? People number-wise through the airport, I think, are still coming back now in record numbers. Of course, we have little events like F1, the rodeo show, and a little football game. Or I think is it a touch football game or something next week?
Flag, I think.
Flag football, even freeze football. I know Taylor Swift is making her way back to see it from what I understand. That should tell you how important it is. But anyway, everything's built around gaming revenue, of course, here. So for the month of December, let's think about this, okay? The state casino win record for December, state, folks, are you ready for this? $1.43 billion, with a B, not an M, $billion just in the month of December. That's a lot. Give me 10% of that. I'd be happy. Yeah. I think we all would be.
A 0.1%.
Exactly right. So check this out. Casinos on the Strip alone accounted for $905 million. That's $70.5 million higher than the July record.
So in the span of 7 months, we broke 2 records. Not bad, right? Statewide, as we said, 1.4 million. Clark County alone was $1.3 billion of $1.43 billion. What does that tell you, folks? That all the money in the...
I want my property tax reduced.
Exactly. I want my sublicense money paid higher, please. Anyway, but I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. It's ridiculous money when you're talking about this. You know, back in the day, we used to call that like phony monopoly money so much, right? What would you do with $1.95 billion or whatever it is, 1.5?
I can't fathom that.
I know.
I can't fathom the number.
It's so much silly money. You're like, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably buy a small island and never return.
I'd buy a new camera.
Buy a new camera.
A really good one.
A really good one. That's right. You'd have to stop searching on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, listen, we know what goes on in this town. You got New Year's Eve, of course. You know, brings a ton of people in here. You also had, listen, in the late month of November, December, we had F1, National Finals Rodeo. YouTube's groundbreaking residency at the Sphere, which continues to draw like nuts. Have you been to the Sphere?
I haven't been there yet.
You don't really need to. You can see it from anywhere in the city, right? Just find a high ground and you get.
I've heard they have interactive stuff inside, though.
I've heard that as well. 17,000 people, I think, is the seating capacity for concerts and stuff. NBA's in-season tournament was here. Was another big event, bringing people from all over the world to come visit us. Concerts, Raiders home games, UFC fights also stocked the December calendar with reasons to visit. So overall, December's been trending up over the past 10 years, according to someone, I don't even remember his first name, it doesn't matter. Going back to 2013, December has ranked in the top 3 gaming wins for the year more than half the time. No surprise there. The build-up for Super Bowl appears to be the momentum for more good times ahead for casinos, with March Madness, the NCAA basketball tournament, right behind that. And I think this year, if memory serves, part of the bracket, I think for one of the bracket legs is going to be here in town this year, if I'm not mistaken, at Allegiant Stadium. And I'm sure somebody's going to correct me out there if I have that information not right, but I'm pretty sure that they're using Allegiant for one of the sets of games. That's crazy. So Vegas is an entertainment town, but as we've talked about the last couple of years, we are really becoming a sports town. Are you into sports at all?
Not really.
No time for it with what you do, for crying out loud.
Well, there's that. There's just too much going on. I mean, you have the NBA with their in-season tournament going on, and then you've got the NFL constantly moving around. I am a big Golden Knights fan.
Okay.
Ended up being a hockey nut because my son-in-law was a hockey nut, and it
there
led
you go.
down through the family. And then when the Golden Knights we used to go to the Wranglers games all the time.
I had season tickets for the Wranglers.
And then eventually with the Golden Knights here, we do go down.
Right on.
I've checked out a couple of games.
I'm originally from Jersey, so I had the Devils, the Rangers, the Islanders. They were the hockey teams, and I watched a little bit here and there. But you can't help but not get caught up in Knights fever when they debuted 5 years ago.
Right.
Of course, their season opened up with 1 October and all that whole situation, and they really acclimated themselves very well to the community. And I think that's a huge reason that they've been so. Granted, getting to the finals the first year is a nice reason, but then our ticket prices went up really high year 2. But the way they assimilated into the city and community and be involved and to help out, I think really helped solidify that relationship with them.
They are tied to the community very well.
Absolutely. Hopefully, if the Oakland A's should ever make it here, or the A's, soon to be the Las Vegas A's, they'll do. The Raiders did okay too. They spent money and sent money to some of the high schools to refurbish their fields and stuff. So they did that. But I guess when it was coupled around the 1 October, just nobody's done it right as well as the Knights did at that time. Speaking of which, for the Super Bowl, now we get hundreds of thousands of people for New Year's and for the tournament and for the rodeo, but they're expecting somewhere between 330 and 400,000 people during the week of Super Bowl, because there's also all the events that lead up to the Super Bowl. Of course, we know the stadium only holds, about 70,000 people, so there's only 70,000 that's going to be in Allegiant Stadium, but 400,000 people to just take in the events of Super Bowl. Now, as we speak, down in Orlando, what used to be the Pro Bowl is really no longer the Pro. It hasn't been that way for years. I was out in Hawaii in 2009, one of the last true Pro Bowl games before they changed it. They have all the I turned it in this way, they were playing dodgeball.
Right.
There's Eli and Peyton Manning, your NFC and AFC captains. They're rooting on dodgeball games. I mean, really, all these competitions, it's not Pro Bowl stuff. It's just more of this. Speaking of the Super Bowl, 49ers, I think, are playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. You're not a big football fan. We talked a little bit before I went on the air, but do you have a feel for the game in terms of who you think might win? I mean,
The Chiefs are coming off of last year. They've been strong the last few years, so
Okay.
I got to go that way. But
Okay.
it'd really be nice to see the 49ers kick Taylor Swift's butt.
Taylor Swift's butt. I love it. That's right. There's no point spread for point spread Taylor's. That could really lead into a very bad direction. However, we are sure, hopefully I'm going to get a list of prop bets for next week's shows. We talked about this. We're pretty sure there's going to be a prop bet how many times Taylor Swift will either be mentioned or
On camera,
shown, right?
shown on camera.
They may even get it from the
They've
moment she
used-
walks off from the airport.
What color shirt does she have on?
Well, it's going to have to be in the Chiefs' colors, right?
Well, you never know.
Yeah, that's true. She's coming off from Japan, so I don't know if she's coming in. She's touring in Japan. She's taking a flight to get into here from Japan, and then quickly, from what I understand, will be turning back around,
Right.
going back out to finish her concerts. Go ahead.
I thought this was her last show, so she's not having to go
she's
back.
not going back?
She's not going
Oh,
back,
well,
but
good
she
for
does
her.
17-hour flight to get here.
My God, roll right it. Just, you know what? She's got so much juice. There's no parking spots left at McCarran, Harry Reid International. They should just let her park in the parking lot by the stadium instead of going to Phoenix.
I heard the executive airport in Henderson added 18 acres of parking space
Yeah.
for airplanes.
I wonder what they're charging for parking spots.
Up to $10,000 was the number I saw.
See, that to me for a plane, that doesn't sound like a lot. But when all that fills up, private planes are flying to Phoenix and parking out in Phoenix before coming back in to get their clientele.
Right.
I wonder what Phoenix is charging. They could make a whole year's budget probably with all of this. But in the meantime, here's some of the bets for those of you who are not aware. Right now, the Chiefs are the home team, which I am surprised. They do rotate every year, which I was educated about during Thoughts Count Anywhere today. I thought the higher ranking remaining seed gets home field and title. But the Chiefs are at home. Niners are considered the visitors. It's only a 2-point spread that the Niners are giving right now. That's right. You can take the Chiefs and get 2 points. Over and under is 47.5. I don't deal with money line bets, but I should take that piece of paper back. Huge numbers are being placed already on this game. No surprise, right? So right now, a bettor at the South Point in Vegas placed a 6-figure bet on the 49ers, and the bet was paired with another $57,000 bet on the 49ers money line. You guys can do the math on that. Tropicana Hotel, the future site of the sometime to be Las Vegas A's baseball team. A lot of stuff going on with that. When they first sold or purchased 9 acres of land, the plan was a 30,000-seat domed facility, right? Because you can't play open, in this heat out here. Then all of a sudden there came talk of the fact that 9 acres may not be big enough.
Right.
Oh, they'll build it, don't worry about it. Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There was a meeting that was held with the Chamber of Commerce, and the leader of this meeting went out onto the stage, hoping it was like a pep rally.
Right.
Rah, rah, rah. He said you could have heard a pin drop. The rally was a complete dud because for the first time they're really finding that the city just doesn't, the residents of the city just does not want them here. Let's see, here's some of the questions that came up. They're calling it fieldofschemes.com. You know what that's related to. This was posted on the 16th of January. Still waiting on those stadium renderings, but they have come out. I have seen renderings. What kind of roof will it have? We suspect a retractable, if nothing else. I mean, it would have to be a closed. They should just make it a closed stadium and leave it alone. None of the open and closed. Do the Athletics have the money to fund the new stadium? That's always been in question. And in the meantime, where will the A's play until that stadium is actually built? Is also the other question. They're looking at some AAA facilities. They can't do it here at the ballpark in Summerlin because it only holds 10,000. You need a stadium that could hold somewhat close to me. Not that they get more than 5,000 people to show
I
up.
was gonna say,
They don't get.
nobody's gonna show up.
If that's the case, you can just go to a high school field and get the
Yeah.
same amount of people. But
You do it in my backyard.
there you go. April 2nd, though, is the date that the Tropicana will officially be closed to make way for that. Here's the interesting thing. Bally's will begin to close out all hotel bookings and relocate all customer reservations beyond that date of April 2nd. Now, those of you may recall before F1 was in town, there was a culinary strike being rumored, right? Well, guess what? The folks at that hotel were part of that strike and got raises and everything. Well, they put a contingency in the agreement for this to happen. The recent negotiation with Tropicana covered the possibility of a closure. So the deal reached last month guarantees a severance of, you ready for this, folks? $2,000 per service year. Okay? So if someone's worked 10 years, you'll get a $20,000 severance pay. If you were newly hired, you probably get a prorated amount of that, along with 6 months towards health care. That's pretty good to allow a transition. Workers will also have a choice between a larger severance or guaranteeing a recall to the new resort. That's pretty cool. 300 hospitality workers will have to make those decisions in 2 months.
Take the cash.
Take the cash and run.
There are no guarantees in Vegas.
But, sure. By the way, when was Groundhog's Day? Wasn't it soon?
Yesterday.
Well, yesterday,
I didn't-
yesterday, he did not see a shadow.
Which means,
A short,
We're almost going to be there in spring.
yeah.
so when they don't
Early
see,
spring.
when they don't see the shadow,
6
it's
more
early
weeks
spring.
of winter.
He just said, no, that's
No,
not
when
what he said.
when they don't see their shadow, it's an early spring.
Right, but when they do see their shadow, it's
Right.
6 more
But he
weeks of
did
winter.
not see a shadow.
Did not see a shadow.
So spring's
yesterday.
going to come early.
Yes.
Right arm.
Hey, everybody knows I love Lake Havasu City. I love going there.
Why don't you go there now?
Don't tempt me. But for those of you who don't know, the iconic London Bridge, the original one, prior to the one that's actually in London, was up and moved by James McCullough in 1964 in 3 big pieces, barged over as a centerpiece to use from the mainland to get over to the inlet. Well, apparently they are looking at expanding, having another bridge built to go from the mainland over, because with the growth on the island and traffic, and that the bridge is not sufficient to handle the traffic. So apparently the Cal Sheehy, who I know, the mayor of Lake Havasu, they're starting to take bids over the summer, that by the end of the summer, they're going to select a contractor to build a second bridge down there. With that, before we go to break, got to mention, if you guys didn't already see it, Carl Weathers, actor, Rocky fame, Apollo Creed, Chubbs or Chugs? Chubbs?
Chubbs.
Chubbs. From the golfing movie with what's his face? I'm drawing a blank. I have it right here in front of me. Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler, of course. Many TV appearances. The Mandalorian most recently. Well, shouldn't say that. Most recently, 2 commercials with Rob Gronkowski promoting a $1 million field goal that he, as in Gronkowski, will be missed. He was 76, passed away in his sleep. Former Oakland Raider for I think like a year and a half, when he was called in by John Madden's office and said, "You're just too sensitive to play football." That's really what he said to Weathers at that time. Okay? Meantime, I think he did okay. All right, when we come back, we're going to get started officially with my guest, Chris Nolan, and a demo of what he does coming up thereafter. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Edgar Alejandro. I'm the co-founder of Rising Again Productions. So we've been here in Vegas producing films for the past couple of years, and we've seen our fair share of studios. We've worked in our fair share of studios, and to be honest, WWDB TV has been our favorite by far. John is so welcoming. The space is wonderful. It's perfect for what we need. We've had rehearsals here. We've had callbacks here. We've had table reads here. So if you're a Vegas creative, or really just a creative coming into Vegas, definitely check out this space. Chat with John. I think you'll find that this studio has everything that you'll need as well.
All right, welcome back to Aaron Zara with Aaron Phillips. My guest to my right, Mr. Chris Nolan. He owns a company called Alini Garage, which is interesting because we were talking before we went on the air. Like, I'm one of every person that tries to announce your company name. We get it wrong the first time.
Yep.
I've been saying Alini or Alini, but it is Alini, which is a combination. Your wife, Allison, right?
Yes.
Who's watching? Thank you for watching, Allison. I didn't want to botch your name, knowing she's watching, by the way. And it's a combination of the two of you of the business.
Wait, I thought his name was Chris.
It's Ali.
I'm I.
He's I. He's I.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
I.
The
I
eyes
can't
of
be anybody
March.
else but me, so it's I.
Oh, that's so grammatically incorrect. I can't wait to tell my students about it on Monday. Originally from Wheatley Heights, part of Long Island out there. And then you,
Hempstead.
Exit 50.
and people talk about Jersey. Where are you from in New Jersey? Exit 30, exit
yeah.
this. You guys just did the same thing. No one can talk about Jersey anymore.
Mitchellfield.
Oh, shut up over there. You spent, you lived in Hawaii for a while.
Yep.
Our ninth island, which is pretty cool. You were in automotive repair. Okay, how does a guy go for, okay, listen to this. Automotive repair, harvested coffee, and macadamia nuts.
Hawaii.
So
That's true, but it's a wide spectrum of products.
So I was a high school student,
Yes.
living with my aunt and uncle,
Okay.
who was leasing 8.5 acres of property.
Oh.
And when you lease property in Hawaii,
Okay.
you don't pay rent, you work the field.
Oh, so like a barter?
There was 6 acres of macadamia nuts and 2 acres of coffee.
Now
and
I
we
get
had
it.
to actually harvest all that material, then the money raised from that paid for the rent.
Gotcha.
So
you were free labor, sort of.
Exactly. So I was always going up and spraying weeds or blowing leaves
Right on.
or doing
Well,
things.
Jennifer, my friend out in Hawaii, she'll appreciate that then. I'm sure she'll put some comments in there.
pretty cool.
Let's see. You were in England for a while too. You met your wife Allison in England. You have a daughter and a son, right? You've lived in Tucson, Virginia, and here in Vegas in 2011, where you officially retired.
There's a Tucson in Virginia.
Well, it's. Did I say Virginia?
He said end.
Tucson, Virginia, and finally
You
Vegas.
said Tucson, Virginia.
Go back to sleep. Let's see, what else you did here? Listen, you've done a lot. Since 2020, though, is when Ali and I got started for you.
Right.
Most of the time, I have found in the past that businesses like yours, a lot of people start off maybe like a little hobby on the side, and then they say, well, I really enjoy doing this. Maybe I can make a business out of it. Is that how this got started for you?
Yes. So working as an airplane mechanic in the military, I separated from the military, and I was working as civil service, or as a civilian contractor, working on airplanes all the time. And started getting to about the age of 50, and your body just starts breaking down at 50. That's the magic number, it seems.
Seems to be.
So my back started going out, my knees, I can't lift my hands above my head.
Okay.
I started, being
Took its
disabled.
toll.
So, and anytime you go to the doctor and you tell them that you're an airplane mechanic, right away they know that you're going to have these problems.
Sure, sure.
And they were starting to develop, and I was like, well, I need to start taking my life into my own hands and finding something for me to do.
Right.
So I started looking at actually welding out of my garage.
Okay.
And I had a little bit of
As
GI.
a hobby or for other jobs or?
Well, a little bit of both,
Okay.
potential.
Okay.
I call it adding to my toolbox.
Okay,
The
sure.
breadth of knowledge that you have. So my son had used my GI Bill to go to school. They
Okay.
now let you transfer it to dependents.
Oh, okay.
So he used it to go to school, and he left me with about 3 months. So I went to CSN and I said, hey, I have 3 months of GI Bill left. What can I do? And they said, you can take a full semester of anything you want. Fill it. So I went and took their 2 welding classes, MIG and TIG.
Okay.
Just learning basic welding techniques.
Okay.
Having someone over my shoulder actually watching me. And that was going well, and the instructor kept showing us videos of, hey, check out this guy working in his garage doing these things. Check
Okay.
out the Instagrams, people that are
The
constantly posting
Instagram
videos.
world of hobbies.
Right. So it gave me a lot of inspiration, and I ended up seeing a guy named Tom Patzist who works for himself out of Indianapolis, and he happened to be at the Miller Welding booth in SEMA in 2019.
Okay.
So I actually went to SEMA every year, and I've met Tom, and I said, dude, you're the inspiration. You're doing exactly what I want to do. And the next thing out of his mouth is, just do it. I was like,
Did Nike send him a bill for that,
I-
using that phrase? Just
so here I am. I make 6 figures as an airplane mechanic on base, and I have
Sure.
a 2019 Z06 Corvette in my driveway, which is 60 cents less than my house payment. I can't just do it,
Right.
He goes, you can. And then the very next things he says is, find Jamie Jordan.
Okay.
I'm like, who's Jamie Jordan? Well, Jamie Jordan ends up being a very known individual in this bead roll art community.
Okay.
And he did a class with the manufacturer of the machine that I use, and I actually went to St. Louis to the factory and learned from Jamie himself how to actually do this metal shaping process called bead rolling. That started it all.
And what is it called again?
Bead rolling.
Okay, I want to make sure you heard bead rolling, folks, not weed rolling, okay? Although John was happy.
I know how to do that.
I was going to say, John thought maybe you said weed rolling. I saw a very happy sense there. So you've been doing this now for 3, going on 4 years this year. You've had almost 500 transactions, right?
Right.
Created almost 1,000 pieces.
Right.
But not just locally here since you've been here in Vegas, or even just the United States, but worldwide, your products have been purchased in Canada, France, and Norway as examples.
So individuals are buying them locally here in Vegas, but
Right.
they're from out of town. Being a tourist
Okay.
town that we are,
Sure.
they end up taking their piece home with them. So I've
Okay.
actually, luckily,
So
had
your
something on
pieces
hand.
are worldwide.
Right. I didn't
Gotcha.
do a transaction internationally, but I did
But you
an
could,
international
though.
transaction. I could
If
ship.
my friend Healy in Denmark wants to have a nice piece, you
You
can
just
ship
gotta
to Denmark.
let me know what his idea is, and we can make it happen.
So listen, in 4 years, I mean, that you're talking 250 pieces on average a year. That's not bad for a hobby, so to speak, as it started. But now you're doing this full time, though, right?
Right.
So we have a couple of pieces here on the desk that we'll switch over to. Why don't you talk about a little bit about these pieces? We do have the machine here, as he mentioned, and we're going to get to that in a bit. But talk about these pieces, if you would.
So now these pieces don't relate to the machine itself. These are engraved.
Okay.
It's just engraving in the metal, and then we fill the engravings in with paint. These were actually 2 coloring book images that we used just to build an inventory.
Okay.
You'll notice that the heart in the Dreamcatcher piece is not filled with paint. It's nice shiny
In
silver.
the middle there, yeah.
But we can fill it if we want to. It's
Okay.
completely customizable. And then the wedding picture, again, a coloring book image that we started with, we modified it to have a plaque space in the bottom.
Oh, I
where
just noticed that at the
We
bottom.
can put the names and the date of the days that they get married, and now you have that wedding gift or that anniversary gift that you can give somebody.
And with Valentine's Day coming up on the 14th, and Vegas is one of the hottest locations where people like to get married, where can people reach you to get that picture done for Valentine's Day?
They can go to our website, teamaliani.com, or they can find me on Facebook by finding Ali and I Garage.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that that's different than the machine pieces, because what it does is it lets our folks know that you do more than just the pieces with the machine. And your website,
Correct.
though, does spell it out, and it's given the website location?
TeamAliandI.com.
So you have a great website where it sort of explains all the different pieces and what you just added jewelry and keychains. But I'm glad we showed that one first because it's different than what you do with the machine.
Right.
Now, I want to show the couple of pieces we have here, and then we're going to go to another break, and then we're going to be over in Studio 1A actually watching them in action. So we have a couple of pieces here which were created from the machine. Is that correct?
Right, this is done in the machine. So
There we go.
you'll notice it says the Nolan's Coffee Bar, freshly brewed daily. The Nolan's and coffee bar and the coffee cup in the middle are rolled in the bead rolling machine, and then the freshly brewed daily is engraved. Now this image is made completely in-house, so we decide what we want to put on there. So it can
Okay.
be any family name. It doesn't have to be coffee. It can be wine, margaritas, tequila, beer. We made Annie's Taco Bar, had a taco in the middle of it, and underneath it said "Made with Grandma's Love."
Very cool.
So again, everything made from scratch. So it's whatever idea you have. So we always have this on the wall as a display item,
Okay.
so that we can tell everybody it's your idea.
Right.
We're building your piece. It's not what we make it, but it's what you want.
So I want to clarify that frame you just saw on it is not provided in the purchase, unless you.
Yeah, no, the
you
frame.
do frame?
Everything is
Oh,
framed,
see, I was
ready to hang on the
corrected.
wall. And the reason we frame
No,
everything.
but I'm saying for a customer, if they buy it, if they buy that piece, it's framed.
It is framed.
But if they buy a piece from you that's not framed, can they do the
I
framing?
don't sell anything without
That's-
framing.
Oh, without framing.
Without
Okay,
framing.
perfect.
If I sold it without a frame, what's going to end up happening is they're going to go home, they're going to lay it on the kitchen counter,
Scratch
and then they're
out.
going to put their electric bill on top of it and their coffee cup, and they're going to spill and scratch and dent, and then they're not going to ever hang it up.
Right, and like John said too, the edging probably is pretty sharp.
It's not.
Although
It's
you do
not bad.
Clean it, you clean it
yeah,
up.
we,
though.
we dull it down quite a bit, but we do frame it so that it's a cash and carry kind of transaction
Gotcha.
where they can
Just
actually
the nail on
put
the
it-
wall and you're good to go.
Right.
All right. What else you have back there?
So then, this is my favorite piece of all. This one will never be for sale. It is a Walking Liberty $50.
There you go.
All of that shape is done by hand in the bead roller. And then you can see, as we kind of move it around, you'll see that there's the sparkle in her gown.
Yep.
That's actually part of the engraving process
Oh, there you
that
go.
picks
Thank
all
you,
that up.
thank you, Sean. There
So
you
you
go.
see all those lines were engraved using a CNC machine, and then I took the metal and passed it through the bead roller, like I'll do here shortly, and actually shaped
and
it.
this detail, you're pretty much, if not the only person that has the equipment and programming that actually lets you do that in the
Yes,
coin, right?
there's a dozen guys in the country that have the equipment to do this work, and I don't know any of them that are going to be willing to try it.
Because of its detail.
Because of the detail.
So
and
intricate.
The intricate of the stars in the banner, the wheat that she's carrying, all that shape. It's
Wow.
just very fine detail that they try to avoid. So I'm the
So
only
that's-
guy that has that.
So that makes you one of a kind.
Right.
There you go. Love it. All right, let's take a break. So then we're going to move over to Studio 1A. We're going to actually see Chris in action. I will go over there as well so we can kind of talk through what he's doing. And of course, we have a roving camera guy today. Woo-hoo! You're watching Aaron's Hour. We're just so intricate around here. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronshour.vegas and book me for your next event or training needs.
Where am I looking? Over there. Hey, welcome back to Aaron's Hour. That's right, we were over here in Studio 1A. I think I just blew my engineer's ears out by that welcome. See this big piece of machinery? I think this is what they used when I had my gastric sleeve surgery done. But this piece of equipment is pretty important because Chris looks really professional behind it, but I don't want to stand here looking unimportant, so I have a tool in my hand. I mean, go figure that. I've been called a tool, but now I have a tool. Anyway, that was bad, I know. So this is the, what do we call this? The Jamie Jordan Signature Series MB USA used this side only. I don't know what that means, though.
This is a 24-inch bead roller. This one's made by Mittler Brothers.
Okay.
But bead rollers are well known throughout the sheet metal world.
Okay.
So in the sheet metal world, the bottom of your car, the floorboard, is made out of sheet metal. So the sheet metal is very flexible.
Okay.
So then what we do is we pass it through a bead roller and we've put these lines in the metal.
Okay.
And now you can stand on that and it's not going to bend anywhere.
Let me just, I don't know. I know we have the handheld here, but you guys, you can see the indentation in there. So I wanted them to see that. There we go.
So now it's got that strength to actually build a car out of.
What I love about this machine is, and like I said, when my wife and I met you at that show a couple of months ago, and you showed us that this is the machine that does everything for you, we were impressed because I figured, you know, like you got to have a big machine in a warehouse. No, this is the machine and it travels with you because you do all these shows around town. You brought it here. It's amazing how, obviously, a lot has to do with the skill set of the person using it. So that's without saying. But it's amazing how this machine really is so compact. You can do this anywhere.
It's about 85 pounds. I run it on a battery pack, so right
Okay.
now I'm not plugged in any outlets. I've
That's
actually
true.
taken this to parking lots. I've done
You're the guy in the corner then that we open?
the county fair. When I go up to Boulder City, I don't. It's plugged into the battery box because there is no power in a city park. So I use a battery box.
How much time does that give you?
I've actually run it for 2 days.
Okay.
Running this machine on it for 2 days because it's a small electric motor. It doesn't do a big draw.
Okay.
And it doesn't drain the battery.
This
very
is the
quickly at
motor
all.
and stuff back here, I'm presuming?
So you have an electric motor.
Right.
There's a rheostat on here that will actually control speed, and there's
Okay.
a gas pedal on the floor that I'm going to be using to actually make the motor turn.
How many miles
But
to the
now,
gallon you get on this?
Not enough. So what I have is 2 shafts that are driving 2 rollers.
Sean, you could switch. Yeah, you could bring that in now. We have a manual camera here, folks. There we go. Go
The
ahead.
rollers are slightly offset. This lower one is a little bit more to my left, your right, on camera. And what we're doing was we're pinching the metal between the rollers to create shape.
And you can see the offsetness. What a terrible word that is. But you can see with the camera angle that they're not 100% lined up.
And what Jamie Jordan did was he worked with Mittler Brothers to make these adjustable collars so I can have complete control of that offset and make it whatever size I want.
Excellent.
And then I control the pressure using this handle to raise and lower the upper shaft.
Oh, that's good. I see that. Okay.
And then all I'm doing is pinching the metal between the 2 rollers to create shape.
Gotcha.
So I have a line that I've engraved using a different piece of equipment. I've
Okay.
engraved this piece of metal, so it has a floral print on it.
Gotcha. All right.
Now,
So you're ready to go, so you can just start doing your thing whenever you want to?
so all we're going to do is line up the roller right on the edge of that line, and I can feel the metal's getting pinched now. I'm going to go about a turn and a half, and I'm going to go ahead and hit on the gas pedal, which is going to pull the metal through, and all I'm doing is steering it to follow those lines. And as I follow those lines, the metal that I'm seeing here on this side of this roller is actually coming up at me. Not very much, but enough that it's actually creating the shape of the
I
metal.
hate to say this, but it's funny you put your fingers there because you forgot about your own sticker.
Well, the sticker says not to put it there.
Oh, okay.
So, and the
Over
sticker's,
here's fine.
but it has a warning sticker on it, so I can't get hurt.
There you go. Now, folks, I don't know if I don't know if the sound's being able to be picked up, but the hum of there's like no sound of the motor here, other than a hum because it is a motor. Yeah, very low. But
Now-
it's very low and minor.
If I hold this up and see if the camera can pick up the shape, this line is the one that I just put in the metal. So this shape is actually now created by hand. And when I look at the images, I have to determine what the image is doing. So when I saw the lines for this shape, I had to determine that is the actual pedal is cupping around, and you're seeing the back side of the pedal. So creating the metal to meet that three-dimensional depth is the art of using the machine.
So right now, the way the camera's picking it up, is this the front side of the artwork, or is that
Yes,
the back
there's the
side?
front. There's the front of the
Gotcha.
piece. I am
Gotcha.
looking at the front of the piece the entire time.
Gotcha.
The metal is being pushed up from the back,
Okay.
from the bottom roller.
So I'm just amazed at the intricacy of the detail. Now, the line that you just went over with the machine,
Right.
it was not penciled on. It was not markered. It's not highlighted in any way, shape, or form with anything other than what you did to
Right.
get
The
these pieces.
CNC line is there. That's all I'm doing is using that line, and that line is the thickness of your hair. So if I took a hair,
It's always the hair
well,
jokes. Why do they always go hair
I'm-
jokes, right?
I'm-
He's like me.
I'm the same way. But if you took it,
but his goatee is more impressive than mine, though.
it's about 2/1000th of an inch
Wow.
wide. So it's a hair line that I'm actually following, so that when you look at the image from a distance, you don't see those lines.
Now, we talked before we went in, and you can keep the camera on this, because if there's anything else you want to do while we're talking, please do so. What you do is literally a very small niche of individuals around the country. Barely, what, about 24 maybe?
Yeah, there's maybe 24 guys in the country that are doing bead roll art as a profitable business.
And the gentleman you mentioned earlier that you saw years ago who told you just do it.
Right.
Was he your mentor in a way? Who was
No,
the gentleman that
so
trained you?
Tom Patsis was
Okay.
the welder that I met at the Miller Welding booth in SEMA.
Gotcha.
He told me to find Jamie Jordan,
Gotcha.
who is, in my opinion, the #1 guy when it comes to doing this kind of work.
So I have to imagine the way you do it, at least from my read, you don't pre-mark anything with markers or pencils or pens for your lines.
No.
You use this other device to give you the rough outline, but other than that, it's just what we see here making this work. Does everybody do it that way?
No.
I'm just curious.
No. So what happens is there's only about 10 of us in the country that actually have the CNC machine to actually do the engraving of the metal.
Okay.
The rest of the guys are actually going to take a Sharpie and follow around the outline.
Gotcha.
But then they're not going to get a lot of the detail that maybe in this pedal has a lot of these details, folds that would be put in.
Okay, I
They
just
can
wanna
put
hold
them
that
in.
up a little bit as you're talking about.
They can put them in by hand,
Right.
but they're not going to have the intricate lines that I'm going to have that I have on mine
And it's
because I
so
use
funny.
the CNC machine.
And it's so funny from an angle, because now from this angle, I could see the lines within the pedals,
Right.
as you mentioned. But then when it's laid down and you sometimes show it, all I see is the big pedals.
Right.
Even from where I'm standing, I really only see the big pedals. But when you're up close and you have the finished piece, the detail that's in the middle there is just absolutely crazy.
And it's very light dependent.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons we don't paint. So if you remember when you saw everything at the show, there was nothing painted.
Right.
Because the paint will actually, the color washes away the shadow that the shape actually creates.
Wow,
So
that's-
then you don't see the shape of the pedal.
But that's different than the engraved pieces we showed at the beginning
Right.
of the show.
Where the color does everything.
Right, okay.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's important to differentiate. Now, I want to ask, this piece you put together as a sample for today. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the coin that you did that we showed
Okay.
earlier. The piece that you showed us with the coin.
Right.
How long does it take to do a piece like that?
That was about 2.5 hours in the CNC machine doing all those
The outline.
lines.
Okay.
And then I spent roughly 8 hours. I did it at the Mecum car auction as a sample piece. I did it live in front of people.
Wow.
Roughly 4 hours each day was me actually shaping it in this machine.
It's just amazing, because, I know a lot of great talents, artists. Everybody, I mean, you're an artist. Here's what you do. You're just using a different medium than
Right.
painters, painting or chalk or whatever. It's just amazing to me, the eye for detail. Because what you did in your previous life, I got to imagine you have to be very detail oriented and used to that
Yeah.
to get to this kind of intricacy.
And it's understanding what the machine
Sure.
does to the metal.
Oh.
That is the biggest flaw that I find when I talk to other bead roll artists about
Sure.
their growing up in the world. It's they get in the weeds about every little detail and they don't really understand what the machine is actually doing to the metal.
Sure.
So
Well, and
once
yeah-
you understand that, then it's easier to
It's
grasp
a great
what you're
point.
doing.
It's a great point, because it helps you understand how everything is connected, along with your eye for detail,
Mm-hmm.
and how the machine is an extension of your arm
Right.
in getting that out. I love it. So again, let's give the website,
TeamAliani.com.
and it's teamalini.com. Great website. It gives you an idea of a lot of the products that are available. If you have any questions, you can certainly go out there and ask. Of course, just share this show, rewatch this show, let everybody know. When we love gifts, we love to do things. After a while, it's getting to the point where people look for something unique and different. Whether it's, and we mentioned earlier with that other piece, it's Valentine's Day.
Right.
Right? Now, if somebody gives you a picture of them and their spouse, Do you work off pictures? How would you like?
We try to avoid portrait photography.
So
I can't shape it.
Gotcha.
But I do have laser equipment where I can put your portrait in a piece.
Gotcha.
So in, for example, that wedding picture
Yeah.
or the dream catcher, I can take that center heart out of the dream catcher and I
Gotcha.
can put your face in it with a laser engraver.
Whereas, and you and I talked about this when you first got here, maybe a piece with like my show logo or something.
Right.
That's totally
Company
different.
logos, tattoos, clip art, anything with lines is very easy to do in
And
this
as long as none of this is for resale, depending upon what you want to have done, like you showed them, we have a couple of pictures if you want. Can you bring up the pictures and we'll show them? One of them is Mickey Mouse, right?
Right.
And as long as you don't resell pieces like that, you're okay. You're good with doing that kind of.
The copyright law states I shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But I am making something that Disney doesn't produce.
Gotcha.
So I'm not competing
With an existing product. Just the images,
but I
though.
am using their image.
And
So
again-
if they ever did come after me, they
Okay.
could say, hey, cease and desist. Okay, I'm going to stop. But until they do, I'm going to continue to make the product for you because I'm not producing, I'm not mass producing.
production.
It's
Makes
all
sense.
custom order.
All right, I've just been informed we only have a couple of minutes left, and I promised you some quick, crazy questions so that I throw some curveballs out at you.
Yeah.
Real quickly, tell me, what's your bucket list vacation that you want to take Allie to someday?
Yellowstone again.
Oh, again?
Again.
Why?
We only saw half of it.
Oh, see the other half this time?
We only saw the southern half of Yellowstone. We weren't able to go up to the northern part, so we missed a bunch of it.
That makes sense. Usually I ask what people do in their downtime, but I obviously know what you do here.
I don't have any.
That's true. What's your favorite music genre?
I have a country station on the radio in the truck, but I'll listen to pretty much anything.
What's your favorite all-time song so that when you're at a red light and that song comes on, you may not be the best singer in the world, but you're in your own karaoke studio.
I sing along with a lot of songs, though.
How well do you sing 'em?
I don't know. My wife's never complained, so I can't be too
All right,
bad.
there you go. She's still hanging in with that. All right, very cool. A couple more questions. What's your favorite all-time movie? So that when it pops on your screen, you grab your wife, the kids, whoever, grab your favorite adult beverage, snacks, you turn your phone off. To what movie?
Pay it forward.
Ooh, I like that, which you are doing definitely with this here.
And I wish we had more time to talk about that.
That gives me a reason to have you back.
Yeah.
Couple more and then we'll wrap it up. Number one, when you approach the pearly gates, long time from now, what is it you want to hear the maitre d' say to you upon entering? I should say the host, not really the maitre d'. When you're greeted at the door by the door person, can't even say doorman. I'm saying this stuff to give you a second or two to
Yeah,
come up with
I
an
don't
answer.
know. I don't think that far.
You've engraved your way in.
Yeah.
You've bead rolled
Just
your way in.
welcome.
There you go.
know.
Welcome, short and sweet, right?
Yeah.
That's what you want to
Just-
hear.
yeah.
I did skip this question, but I'll say it anyway. Who's your favorite superhero, Batman or Superman?
Oh, Batman, definitely.
Oh, phew. You had me worried for a second, based on what you
No,
said earlier in the show.
Of the two, Batman by far.
Last question for you. Do I want to ask this question? I think I already asked the last question about the pearly. Oh, here you go. Last one. I forgot. This is a fun one. When the day is made, if a movie's going to be made about you and your life and what you do, who would you like to see star as you?
Tom Hanks.
We have to shave his head, though.
Yeah.
But you can do that in Hollywood.
Yeah.
You'll give him CGI. All right, with that, we're about to wrap up. Chris, thank you, sir, for coming on. It's been a
Thank you.
pleasure. We will have you back because I love the stuff. Remember, Valentine's Day is right around the corner. We showed you the piece earlier. If you want to have something personally done for you and your spouse or an anniversary or anything, check it out, man. Team Allie and I. Team, TeamAliani.com, right?
Yep.
Whew. Good. I see I did that from memory. Check it out. Send him a message. You'll see him around town. He also has a schedule of the different shows that he's doing. You can check out that schedule as well. And if you tell him you saw him on here in Aaron's Hour, you know what he's going to give you? A nice pat on the back and a thank you. As will I if I were there as well. Hey, everybody. Thank you for watching. I have no idea who's on next week. You just have to stay tuned to my Facebook posts and see what you have going on. Again, please share and enjoy. Thank you for watching. As always, be kind to everybody. Why? Well, we have. We'll see you next time right here in Aaron's Hour. Thank you for watching.